Prego. Ok, grazie. Buongiorno. Dobry utro. I'll speak in English because I'm sure all of you understand that I love Italian as a language and don't want to spoil it by trying to speak it. So please follow me in English. I'm Swiss myself. I spent 15 years working in Russia, in Moscow. And I'm joined by my colleague Elena, who is not Russian but Ukrainian. 3 weeks ago was almost the same. Today it's quite different, but still. We both worked for Yandex. And thank you, Neo, thank you, Elena, for having us here. It's great to be invited to such parties, and this is our first kind of participation to such an event in Italy. So we're very proud to be here. Thank you very much. And welcome to this event. I hope you'll be interested. We have a lot of slides and much more to say. So hopefully you will join us at lunch or afterwards so we can discuss your market in particular. So Yandex, what is Yandex? Maybe some of you have never heard about Yandex or other search engines. I mean, thank you for reminding us that there is not only Google on the earth, but there is Baidu in China and Yandex in Russia. Yandex's mission as a company is to answer any questions you may have. Yandex started long ago with this topic and has worked on it not only via a search engine, but via creating technology that enables web internet users to answer their questions. I will come to the later applications. Most of us focus on the search engine, but we have much more than search engine. We have a worldwide cartography, for example, which helps you also answering questions, where you are, where you can buy stuff around you, where is your next destinations, etc. But first of all, coming back to search, I think if you step back a little bit, we realize that the world is actually divided in a few technologies. And if you look at the chronology, Google was born in '98, but before Google there was a project in Czechia called Seznam, which is still existing and still have a nice market share in Czechia. And they started actually in '96. Yandex started with text search before the internet appeared. It was made for the Russian language, which was quite complex due to specific morphology to analyze Russian texts. And it was then applied to the internet since '97. You have also a project in Korea, Naver, which you heard about, Baidu, which we just also remembered, and Bing. So what does it mean today to be active in the search engine market? It means, first of all, math. Myself, I'm not a mathematician, but I admire and not always understand what my colleagues say in Moscow, because these guys, they're engineers, they have ended with the best universities, not only in Russia, and this is really heavy, heavy mathematics. Plus, the capacity to analyze big data, which is a reality for us every day for most of our products. What you also need is huge data centers in order to instantly process the data which you have. And I think one of the challenges of the 21st century will be the capacity to get meanings out of the huge collection of data which many companies are doing. You know, this week there is the Geneva car show, and I read an article about the number of data the new cars are giving, and the industry enabling this data don't yet know what to do with so much data which the cars are generating. So analyzing this data is something which we see as a future trend, which will be interesting for people like us with our technology. Now, because of this need of technology and hardware, there is only 3 companies in the world that actually have a worldwide web index. 2 American companies and us. We are the only ones, non-American, that actually has a worldwide index, which means you can search on Yandex. Even in Italy, you will find some answers. We have indexed all the websites. We have not comparable results to Google. We have not localized it here. We have localized it only in Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and recently in Turkey. But we have a worldwide index. And this tells you a little bit about the size and the strengths of our technology. So Yandex is not an obscure Russian company with strange practices. It's a very transparent, clean company. It's listed on the NASDAQ. It's actually the largest European tech company listed on the NASDAQ. The valuation which you saw here has changed since a few weeks due to the political crisis. And currently the valuation is just below 10 billion if you look at it now. So if you want to buy shares of Yandex, I think wait until Monday or Tuesday and make sure you go for it, because once this political crisis is over, it's clear there will be a huge upside. The price dropped for over 30% for most of the Russian companies. So this is unfortunately not related to our business, obviously, related to the political crisis which is going on. But still, being listed in America is, for a Russian company, a sign of transparency and seriousness. We are a group of 6,000 people, and amongst them 5,000 programmers, IT specialists. So that means this is a huge group of smart brains working not only on search, but on technologies, just to make sure that we answer the question you may have. And they are located not only in Russia, they are located in Ukraine, they are located in Istanbul, in Turkey. We have an office, a development office in Switzerland. We have a development office in Palo Alto in the US. We just opened a development office in Berlin, in Germany. So we are opening office where we find talents, where we find people which we need to fine-tune our technology. We are famous because we are one of the 2 search engines that manages to keep a leadership in its original market against Google. And I have to say this because I always have to answer the question, we are not protected by any political means. The Chinese internet and the Russian internet are a little bit different. In that sense, the Russian internet is completely open, and we are competing just on the base of technology. So in Russia, we managed to keep almost 62% of the market share against Google, who is now 26%. And if you look at it dynamically, you realize that actually the war or the battle is going on, and it has been forcing us to improve the quality of our services. And those who actually lost market shares were the other local players who could not cope with the strengths of the technology, which, to sustain the battle between Yandex and Google. So 62% against 26%. So if you want to invest money in Russia, don't make it simple, don't just use Google. You have to use them as well, but also use Yandex. And this is what we need to remind European people or agencies, because in Europe the situation is different. In Europe, once you are set in Google, you can roll out any market. In that sense, Russia is different, and it's worth spending a little bit more time on it because of the potential. So this is Yandex main page. It's not only search, it's a portal. It started very early as a portal because I was involved with them since the year 2000, and in the year 2000 it was not clear where the money was coming from, so we were wondering about the portal aspect of the business with display advertising rather than search. So when you see besides search, we have a whole set of services. Some of them are here. Interesting for you, Yandex Money is kind of the PayPal of Russia, absolutely leader in its market. We have, for example, a thing which is comparison shopping, which does not exist in Europe. It's like Rakuten in Japan, for those who know Japan. Everybody who wants to sell something online in Russia is listed on Yandex Market, because that is where people would go and search for products or brands before going then into the websites. We'll come back to that a little bit later. We have enormous amount of applications based on map technology. I mentioned that we have maps as another platform, and we see a lot of possible developments based on this map technology. So we are a technical company or a technological company looking at different services far beyond search. Where we are and what we do, we actually target an audience and offer this audience to our advertiser, which is close to 1 million people. Not only because of Russia, but as we mentioned Ukraine. In Ukraine, we have a market share which is almost 50-50 with Google, I have to say, and it is unfortunately the same split than the politics in the country. We also have Turkey, where we entered almost 2 years ago, and where we want to become a strong number 2 in the market and offer this population or this audience to our advertisers. Talk about Turkey, and as an illustration for what I want to say concerning different technologies, Yandex has invented something which is very useful when you are in a big city with horrible traffic. And those who have been to Istanbul or to Moscow know that I speak about something which you don't know in Italy and we don't know in Switzerland or in Europe. Huge traffic jams. So we have created an application which is called Yandex Traffic, which basically, based on the maps, based on the navigation we have on the maps, we show you where the traffic jams are, how bad they are, and we recommend you alternative routes. This is one of the most used applications in Moscow and by all the taxi drivers in Istanbul. And this is actually something we have invented and something which has been rolled out in the cities where we are extremely successfully.